I begin by breathing into the memory, letting the images arise, letting the dream speak again with the quiet ancient voice it had the night it found me. I return to the dream, a dream that has stayed with me, not as a fleeting vision, but as a chapter of my soul's evolution. A dream I often return to because it marks a turning point in my inner life. In the dream, I'm inside a house, a place that feels familiar in theory, as if it belongs to the architecture of my life, yet deeply unfamiliar, as if I've stepped into an undiscovered room of my own inner world. I feel guided through the corridors of the house that was familiar and unfamiliar, as if I'd walked those halls 1,000 times and yet utterly unacquainted and foreign, as though I had stepped into someone else's memory or into a hidden wing of my own spirit. The unfamiliar house in the dream represented a shift into new layers of my psyche, places I had never consciously visited before. Walking through that house was like stepping into unexplored rooms of my consciousness, parts of myself opening for the first time, intuition, emotional depth, spiritual memory, and long hidden truths. A temple within myself. I wasn't walking through this place aimlessly. I felt guided, instinctively drawn deeper into the building, as though something within me knew exactly where I needed to go. The house stretched and shifted until it opened into a larger space, something far older than architecture, something alive. I enter a room that begins as a space of pillars and a high echoing ceiling, an ancient hall, a place that feels like an initiation temple carved out of my own soul. The pillars rise like guardians of wisdom, like ancient sentinels, their presence echoing strength, stability, initiation, sacred gateways, as though they had stood there for ages waiting for me to arrive. The ceiling arches into something limitless, into a vast openness as a sky of my expanded awareness, the symbol of expanded consciousness, of spiritual revelation, the transcendence and letting go of old limitations. The stone grows moss, the walls dissolve into vines, the ceiling opens into a cavern of dripping stalactites. Water glimmers on the ground like a living mirror. And then, as though the room itself breathes with me, it slowly transforms into a jungle-like cave, opening to a majestic lagoon and waterfall, indicating something deeply primordial. A cave draped with vines, humid with mystery, its floor giving way to water, a lagoon with pools that reflected everything I could not yet see within myself. A raw, instinctual, deeply spiritual part of the self, a source of ancient knowledge and wisdom hidden away and waiting to be discovered. It was part room, part cavern, part sanctuary. It carried an energy of truth and sacredness, an inner temple, an initiation chamber carved inside my own psyche. As I stood there, I realized I was not alone. Snakes were everywhere, present, aware, unthreatening. On the ground near my feet, hanging from the ceiling like living garlands, their bodies draped like vines across beams and stone. Some glided through the water below me, their movements slow, deliberate, ancient. They were fully present, yet not one of them sought to harm me. It was a calm yet powerful presence they carried. I felt surrounded by a deeply rooted, transformative energy, as though my subconscious was telling me not to fear this process. And I was entering a phase where my spiritual or emotional transformation was unfolding naturally, not chaotically. Even in the strangeness of the setting, even with so many of them surrounding me, I felt no overwhelming fear. A natural instinctive tension, perhaps, but beneath it, a clarity. I knew somehow that I was safe. I knew they were simply there, acknowledging me and waiting to be acknowledged in return. Their presence felt symbolic, meaningful, as though they were messengers of something deeper, the bearers of secrets, the serpents of the hidden path of rebirth. The spiraled ones came in every color of imaginable and unimaginable shades and hues of green. Their bodies shimmer forest green, moss green, jade, emerald. The colors of heart energy, healing, renewal. They were hanging from ceilings, resting and moving on the ground, and gliding calmly through the water, signifying that transformation was happening on every level. This ceiling, a metaphor of the mental state. The ground was a representation of my physical and emotional transformation, and my spiritual and psychic abilities reflected and shone within the water. Floating above the water, suspended on the threshold, in the temple cave of my dream, I was floating upon the water's surface. My feet did not sink into the lagoon. I found myself floating gently, effortlessly, above the pool of water that fills the cavern floor. And as I hovered just above the water's surface, it was as though the boundary between my conscious and subconscious had thinned enough to hold me, but not yet enough to pull me in. Water, the ancient symbol of emotion, intuition, the subconscious, the cosmic womb, the uncharted depths of who I am. The water holds a depth I cannot fully see. Something ancient moves beneath it. Not a creature, but a force, a rising tide of intuition, memory, and awakening. I am floating, suspended between worlds, above the conscious, above the known, while beneath me stirs everything I have yet to face. I feel both drawn and hesitant, as though my soul whispers, "You are close to a deep awakening, but not yet meant to descend fully." This is the moment before immersion, the breath before surrender, the delicate hinge of transformation. There was fear, but not the fear of danger. It was the trembling that comes right before a transformation, a fear that feels like standing at the doorway of something powerful, something sacred, something that asks you to surrender. Beneath the water, I sensed an energy, a force rising, stirring, calling. It felt like repressed intuition, dormant spiritual energy, a Kundalini-like current, or the pulse of a shamanic stirring deep beneath the surface of who I thought I was. It was awakening. And their presence echoes from earlier meetings. This wasn't the first time these guardians of thresholds had appeared in my dreams. Before this night, there had been many others. One of the earlier memories was the dream of the injured snake. I remember seeing it, wounded somehow, in need of help. Even though I didn't know how to help, something in me wanted to try. I approached it gently, reaching out with care, guided by the instinct to heal. And when I touched it, or tried to, it bit me. Not out of malice, but out of pain, the way wounded things sometimes react, even when help is being offered. I wasn't angry. The question that rose wasn't hatred or fear. It was simply, why? Why did you bite me when I was trying to help? This moment became the quiet initiation wound that opened up the entire cycle. Even then, as startled as I was, I went looking for it afterward, hoping to make sure it was okay, but it was gone, retreated into the unseen places of the dream, like a memory sliding back into the subconscious. Perhaps that snake was the wounded part of me, a hurt piece of my emotional history, surfacing for healing. My compassionate response set the tone for the whole journey. I would heal through gentleness, not resistance. After that night, the snakes in my dreams were never aggressive again. Never biting, never chasing, never threatening, just present, just there. Neutral ancient witnesses to my unfolding inner life of emotional and heart-centered healing, shedding old layers of identity, awakening intuition and inner power, integrating shadow aspects with compassion, stepping into new awareness and deeper self-understanding, moving from fear into neutrality and calm presence. Through these dreams, my soul has been saying, do not fear your own depths. Something powerful is awakening within you. Your healing is sacred and natural. You are guided every step of the way. Transformation is happening gently, wisely, and in alignment with who you truly are. I remember another dream, a storm, lightning cracking through the sky, the world dark, wind rushing through the trees. I walked on, moving through the twilight, perhaps heading home, certain of my path, but unsettled by how familiar and estranged the environment of the shifting landscape felt around me. The serpents began falling from the sky, from the branches above, like pieces of shed truth. 3 in total, descending one after another, unannounced, unjudging. 2 struck the earth beside me, missing my body entirely, as if their arrival was not meant to harm, but simply to exist. To return to soil and memory. Were they omens? Were they guardians? Or merely witnesses passing through the same storm? The 3rd touched me. Its body fell against my skin with the weight of surprise, but not malice. No fangs, no venom, only presence. It slid away without claim or threat, continuing its pilgrimage. It slithered away uninterested. Even in that storm and with the suddenness of their fall, the snakes were never hostile, only present, only symbolic. The symbolism of all of it, I now understand. Looking back, I see the dreams as more than imagery. They were messages, a teaching, a reflection of my soul's evolution. The unfamiliar house, representing new parts of myself opening. The pillars and high ceiling, initiation, expanding awareness, stepping beyond old limitations. The jungle cave and water, entering ancient wisdom within me, the raw and instinctual depths. The snakes all around, transformation on every level, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. The coiled ones from the ceiling, shifts in consciousness and perspective. The serpents on the ground of the hidden path, changes rooted in daily life and the body. The silent sliders in the water, spiritual awakening rising from the deep. Floating above it all, the threshold, the moment before surrender, when awareness begins to awaken. The energy beneath the water, a major transformation stirring, something old, ancient, powerful, and ready to surface within my consciousness. Do not fear your own depths. What rises within you is not meant to harm you. It is meant to heal you, to awaken you, to guide you. I've been through and will continue to go through a cycle of transformation without chaos, awakening without violence, fear dissolving into awareness, injury evolving into wisdom, presence turning into guidance. The snakes have been with me as teachers, as symbols of my unfolding, as companions in my spiritual evolution. They show me that my subconscious has been guiding me gently into new awareness, new intuition, new healing. I was never meant to fear them. I was meant to understand them, to understand myself through them. They were not warnings, they were mirrors. And in that cave-like temple, hovering above the waters of my own depths, I finally realized and recognized the truth that the dreams had been saying over and over. A major transformation has been awakening within me. My spirit has been evolving. My soul has been preparing, and the journey, though mysterious, has always been guided, protected, and deeply sacred. And now, as the images of the dream soften, as the echoes of snakes and water and ancient pillars slowly fade, I breathe myself back into this moment. I remember that every symbol I witness lives within me still, not as something distant or mysterious, but as a part of my own unfolding soul. I acknowledge the snakes as guides of transformation, reminders that healing rises in spirals, and that change does not need to be forced. It comes naturally, patiently, in its own sacred timing. I honor the house, the temple, the jungle, the waters, all of them reflections of my inner landscape, vast, ancient, and alive. I release the fear of the unknown. I release the tension around what is awakening within me. And I allow myself to trust that I am guided, protected, and supported as I continue to evolve. With a slow breath, I feel my awareness return to the body I inhabit now, to the ground beneath me, to the steadiness of the earth holding me, rooting me, offering me safety. I feel my feet, my breath, my heartbeat, each one a reminder that I exist here, in this moment, fully present, fully alive. I carry the wisdom of the dream with me, but I do not stay in the dream world. I return gently to the waking world with clarity, with peace, expansion, with a deeper trust in my own becoming. And as I open my eyes, or as I rise from this reflection, I do so knowing I am grounded, I am guided, I am growing, and I am safe on this path. Let the mind be calm, let the heart be steady, let the spirit rest in its quiet knowing. And so I return, centered, expanded, softened, and at peace.